The Ken Dorsey situation here, I was just thinking, fans would line up and down the street to have a premier receiver like Stephon Diggs, probably even weapons like James Cook, Dalton Kincaid, and Gabe Davis. And I'm talking about, you would see like our whole town would be filled with fans if they were handing out Josh Allens in the street. You have top 3 quarterback in the league. And despite having all of that on offense, in Buffalo, it's just a complete disaster right now. People are pointing in different directions. Is it Dorsey's fault? Is it McDermott's fault? Is it Josh Allen's fault? And really, it's so messed up there that it's everyone's fault at the moment. Ken Dorsey wound up being the fallout guy. He was the scapegoat in this situation to a degree, though. And Ziggy, I know that you have that opinion, but let me just say here, for the people who will defend Ken Dorsey, a lot of them point to stats right now. They'll say number 1 in success rate, number 2 in third down conversion rate, number 3 in EPA per play, et cetera, et cetera. But the advanced stats for the Bills are pretty favorable for their offense. But if you really dive into it too, since week 5, scoring on 31% of drives, 27th in the league. In their past 6 games, they're averaging 20.5 points per game. That would be 18th in football. That includes losses to the Patriots and the Broncos, and probably should have been lost to the Giants in there. So Ken Dorsey's offense has really not been that good for a while now. People can say definitely on the players to some degree. A lot of interceptions, a lot of turnovers, a lot of drops. There are issues there. But also the scheming is not exactly getting guys open. Josh Allen's being forced to throw into tighter windows. Situationally, you're seeing some strange scenarios. James Cook was good in moments last night. Didn't really play a lot also. Why was that? 4th and 1s where you have Josh Allen lining up in the shotgun. People are questioning these things. So I understand the firing. I really do. Was it fair? Probably not. But something, you get the feeling that something had to change. And unfortunately for Ken Dorsey, it wound up being him. You believe, though, that he's more of a scapegoat than people are saying.
Indeed. So, you're right that something had to change. McDermott was told, make a change or you're fired. And McDermott can't cut Josh Allen, and he can't fire himself. So that leaves only one option open. But, look, first of all, I just want to ask you a question. If the Bills win this game, does Dorsey get fired?
Probably not.
Absolutely not, right? There's no way you're firing your offensive coordinator coming off a win. So, fair enough. Maybe he shouldn't be calling fumbles, right? He shouldn't be dialing up the fumble play. Well, guess what? The Bills have fumbled 8 times on offense and have lost 7 of them. Mm-hmm. The average league recovery rate for fumbles isn't 12.5%. It's 49%. And Jack, your Pittsburgh Steelers are at an 83%. So that looks bad. You add in the fact that, you look at what the Bills offense is doing on typical plays. I know you talk about success rate. People sometimes talk like this is some abstract, obscure analytic number. It's not. It's how well you move the ball relative to each down. In Dorsey's games coming into the NFL, he's number 1 there. Red zone success rate, he's number 2.
I know. I just read you all those stats.
I know. I'm saying he's consistently moved the ball.
No, he has.
Right? You were talking about an offense that more than any team in the NFL has been putting themselves in situations to score. And there have been Dalton Kincaid fumbles. There have been Gabe Davis drops. Josh Allen has pushed the ball a little bit too far. But you've consistently failed to get good offensive personnel outside of one guy. You've consistently failed to be aware that variance happens. Mm-hmm. And the fact is, we've seen this, right? Very bad variance can last more than a game. It can last a month. It can last a season. It can last more than a season.
But it is after you start to see a pattern of these same things happening week after week for Buffalo. And I'm not trying to sound, I'm just playing devil's advocate with you here. There is a point where you have to look back on the coaching and say, all right, something needs to change here. Why are we not, you have drops, you have fumbles, you have interceptions, but they keep happening over and over again. Well, maybe that is something to do with the play calling. Maybe that is with the personnel you're throwing out there.
Boy, I don't know, man. The Bills in the 4 worst games in the NFL in terms of average starting field position for offense, the Bills have had 2 of them. Mm-hmm. Why? The defense is ravaged by injuries and can't create good short fields. So, look, there are things to clean up on the Bills offense. This is right. But firing Dorsey is not going to fix this. Yeah. This is not going to fix the fact that you haven't been taking successful receivers, right? What they've been doing is they've been trying to take players that are skill mismatches. right? So it's like, instead of getting a good wide receiver who can go next to Stephon Diggs, we're going to get James Cook and Zach Moss because they're running backs that can confuse the defense. No one's confused. Rather than drafting an elite wide receiver, we're going to go get Dalton Kincaid. Maybe he'll be good. I'm not saying he's not.
Well, Jack loves
but
Kincaid.
Yeah, don't knock my boy.
Look, in the past 3 years, the only receivers they've taken in the 4th or 5th round are Gabe Davis and Khalil Shakir.
And Davis has been very disappointing.
Yeah, Davis is a great wide receiver for. Right? Like, you know, like Buffalo just keeps getting unlucky. If you look at like win probability added by things that are lucks, passes dropped by your opponent, dropped interceptions, unlucky made field goals, fumble recoveries. There's only one team less lucky than the Bills, and that's the Minnesota Vikings.
Well, that checks out.
But I'm just saying, like, I don't want to go on a rant too much here, but firing your offensive coordinator in the middle of the season is not going to fix these problems. It's just going to create more. And you're talking about a guy who, if you look over the past 25 games he's coached, right, as long as he's been there, he's gotten mostly good performances out of Josh Allen. So I think it's obvious this is a scapegoat. That's made clear by the fact that he's not getting fired if the Bills don't just put 12 men on the field. Like, sorry, offensive coordinator, for calling up the James Cook fumble play and the 12 men on the field play. Next time, I guess he just shouldn't call that. But no, I mean, this is silly.
I actually, so I've been just trying to think this through, because for Bills fans, you're trying to figure out who to blame. And like I said at the top, there are so many people to put the blame on for what's going on this season. There's no excuse. When you see the way they look weeks 2, 3, 4, that's how the Bills should look all the time. That offense is just phenomenal. There's so much talent there. And I think Josh Allen is someone, and this is where I'm going to kind of start to theorize on my own here, and you guys could tell me if this sounds crazy to you. But Josh Allen to me is someone who you can kind of see, you can see the way he's thinking from his from his eyes. His eyes are very telling, I think, of how he feels about certain situations. After he throws a pick, like you can see the emotion on his face. There are guys like Jalen Hurts, very stoic all the time, same expression. Josh Allen, you can tell how he's feeling. And right now, he looks to me to be someone that is really confused as to what's going on. There's just, he's overthinking everything. And I think a big part of that problem could just be years and years and years of Sean McDermott, like just changing up the philosophy that he wants. Where you think about in 2019, they lose to Houston in the wild card round, and Sean McDermott comes out and says, well, I want more points. We need to score more points. We are run heavy, but we have to score. They give the offense over to Brian Dable in 2020, number 2 most passing in the league, number 2 in points. They lose that AFC Championship game to the Chiefs. But Josh Allen has a fantastic year. That's his breakout year. And then in the press conference, Sean McDermott goes, you have to start over. And he goes, I can start off saying we've got to run the football better. So now, okay, back to the running game.
By the way, you want to know what team is the 4th best run game in the entire league by the numbers?
Please.
The Bills. Right? They in this game, they were consistently generating good running.
So McDermott loves to run. 2021, you see similar numbers to 2020, but throughout the year, he's throwing jabs at Dable, he's throwing jabs at Josh Allen, throwing interceptions. And I just think over time, I know this is a lot of information coming out at once, but over time, as you have this philosophy of, okay, we want to run, we want Josh to pass more. Now we don't want Josh to run as much because he might get hurt. There's so many rules in place for Josh Allen that you just want him to go out and play football. I mean, this is one of the most talented guys in the league. Like, let him off this leash that he's on right now. And we talked about it before. You said it, Ziggy. One of the things that makes Josh Allen is that he'll lower his shoulder sometimes and he'll take on a defender he probably shouldn't. Yeah, he might get hurt, but this is football. And when he's playing like that, there are risks. But the Bills' offense is really good and tough to stop. So I do think that Josh Allen is kind of being overloaded from the Sean McDermott over the years. Sean McDermott is a good coach. The change that he brought to Buffalo, they hadn't made the playoffs since 1999 when he took over in 2017. And they've been there 5 of the 6 years he's there. They haven't had a 10-win season since 99. They've had 4 straight 10-win seasons. You can't say he's not a good coach, but at some point you have to wonder if they reached their ceiling with him in 2020 and 2021. That 13 seconds, that might have been their best chance.
If I'm not mistaken, all of their losses are within 6 points, are they not?
Buffalo.
It's at least, yeah, I think so.
Who they lost to? They lost to the Jets, lost to the Broncos.
Jets, New England, the Jags, the Broncos.
They've all been close.
They've all been within 6 points, and a few of those have come down to the defense not making a final stop. Like, they've had a lead, and the defense allows the final points.
But you can't blame you also can't blame the defense when last night was not the defense.
I'm not. But let's say they hold on against the Pats, right? They hold on against the Broncos. They're sitting here at 7-3. It's a different story.
Completely different. Yeah, you flip 2 wins, and the Bills are contending for the 1 seed.
Yeah,
it's why this is bad process.
Yeah.
No, I mean, look,
I agree with you. I agree with you.
Here's what I'll say to sort of close this out. Is Sean McDermott, here's what he said today about the reasoning. He said with new leadership at OC, here's what he wants, quote, to establish a subculture as part of the team's overall culture to help foster confidence and energy and focus on doing things they need to do that leads to win.
He said this?
Yes.
Sounds like an encyclopedia on something.
Yeah, no, it's corporate doublespeak. So I'll tell you what's going to happen here. I can see the future. There has been 1 year when Josh Allen has put together the Ultra Superman Josh Allen. It's the year Sean McDermott stepped out of the way.
Yeah, that was 2020.
He got an ultimatum. You need to make changes and the offense needs to look good or you're fired. Well, guess what? Firing Ken Dorsey, the best offensive mind in the building, is not going to make the offense better. The Bulls are going to have a disappointing finish to the season because the variance isn't going to get totally fixed. McDermott's going to be fired, and they're going to have to start anew this offseason.
Yeah, you're putting
a lot on the shoulders
of Joe Brady, who has less experience than Dable, less experience than Dorsey, to come in and fix a big problem there. And
remember when Joe Brady was the coordinator with the Panthers in 2020 and 2021?
Yeah, it didn't last very long.
Yeah, he was a scapegoat for Matt Rule.
Listen to this schedule, too. Listen to this schedule. They're hosting the Jets, at the Eagles, at the Chiefs, hosting the Cowboys, at the Chargers, host New England, at Miami. I mean, at 5-5, they're screwed, right?
Yeah, I mean, there's 4 games where they're probably going to be an underdog again, right? The Eagles, the Chiefs.
It's hard when you have a guy like Josh Allen, you automatically assume that the playoffs are going to happen. But in Buffalo right now, it's probably not. You're probably not making it this year. It's insane.
With the Bengals, it's a similar thing.
Sir. Yeah, Zach's happy about that.
Yeah.
It's nuts. It's nuts. But right now, if you had to put money on it, you'd have to say no with a new offensive coordinator. And then Diggs. No. You got Trayvon Diggs tweeting all this stuff about.
And he's just speaking for his brother.
Yeah, no, you know that. He's saying 14 got to get out there. And he's saying Josh Allen was nothing before Diggs showed up.
Which is silly because the Bills have treated Diggs perfectly well. I mean, look, to put it in stark contrast, the Bills went 5-5 against an easy schedule, right?
Yeah.
What we need to do, looking forward to see, will they go 5-2 against a much harder schedule? Probably not. It is time to burn down the building at Orchard Park.
So there you go on the Bills. And we know that was a lot there, but it's a pretty fascinating situation of how one of the best offenses in football has completely crumbled, and there are so many different things wrong. You could have an hour, 2-hour podcast on this alone.